Records, Inc. and Skylamas Productions would like to invite you all to the Lionel Hampton Tribute Show. We are sitting here at the Broccoli Rob Studios in Fairfield, New Jersey. My name is Denise Sobiewski Roszak, and sitting right beside me here is the famous Jason Malletman Taylor. If I get this right, 5-time Grammy Award Ballad nominee. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Well, thank you. It's welcome. It's a pleasure to be here.
It is, and it's on a very special occasion.
Ooh.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
So I have a couple questions for you.
You do?
Yes.
Okay.
And the first thing I want to
Be careful now.
Oh, jokester, yes. So I want to ask you, first and foremost, what's so special about Hollywood, California?
Wow. I'm sure the audience would agree. I mean, Hollywood, California is like the ultimate for some reason. I mean, you know, some of the icons, the masters, you know, I mean, the debuts of some of the best motion pictures in the world, you know, the Walk of Fame, you know, the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and with all the stars. And, it's just incredible. I just think I'm almost speechless about it. It's the place where arts, entertainment, dance, you know, the masters roll out the red carpet and say, hey, I made it, and we want to show it off right here in Hollywood.
That's right. It's a place where you honor all these famous artists.
Thank you. Where magic happens.
Where the magic happens.
Yeah.
So have you been to Hollywood before this event?
Yes, I was at Hollywood before this, but like I was at Hollywood like everybody else can go as a tourist. Mm-hmm. Anybody can get on the plane and walk around and have some popcorn and take pictures and lay down on the floor and take pictures with the stars and everything. And yeah, that was great. But then I thought about it, I was like, well, you know, my career is in entertainment. You know?
Yes, it is.
My career is entertainment. And I was like, wow, like, wouldn't it be great to do something there, you know, perform there?
Well, absolutely. And you've had such a long career that this actually, of course, has to go together.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. So I wanted to ask you.
You're painting the picture pretty good there.
Speaking of the Hollywood Walk of Fame, have you met any stars from the Hollywood Walk of Fame?
Yes. I've performed with some there, and I've met some there, and been with some there, like Mariah Carey.
Wow.
But most important, I mean, I can go down a checklist of some great people that I've been. Well, you know, Jack Nicholson, I've been around. You know, he has a star there, I know. And but Lionel Hampton has a star there.
Absolutely, which is why we're all gathered here today to honor the late Lionel Hampton.
That's right.
Who is a big, big influence in your life.
Big.
Absolutely, yeah. And so we're definitely going to get to more about him. Okay. But I wanted to ask you why the strong need, other than the fact that it's Hollywood, California. Is there another reason why you want to do the show there? Well,
you know, I think it knocks out two birds with one stone. Mm-hmm. Me being the protege of a legend, Lionel Hampton, living with him, you know, and him, the late great, you know, him passing, you know, affected me. But what a way to honor him by there being a star there, you know. Mm-hmm. I'm his protege, coming through there, playing his music there, and reminding people, out of all of the stars that are there, that's the stars that should be focused on, just a little bit longer.
Yeah, so you actually met him when you were very young.
Yeah.
And he basically molded you into the amazing musician you are today.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit more about your experience with him as a mentor, as a teacher. What was he like?
Wow, great question. Well, you know, like I said, as you already started to paint that picture, you know, I always wanted to meet him, not knowing that, and my mom was the one that kind of introduced him, you know, in a verbal conversation about how her and her friends used to go to the Apollo Theater and used to, you know, all the sweat used to drop on her. And she mentioned different big bands, Count Basie, Duke Ellington. She said, Lionel Hampton. Lionel Hampton, who's that, you know? She said, he plays this xylophone thing and it's great, you know. And that was my mission at a very young age. I prayed on it. That's all I wanted to do was just, I walked around with records. At that time you couldn't just Google when I was coming up. There was no cell phone, you couldn't Google. And when you seen a show, that was it. There was no rewind. Once you seen a show, that you rewinded it in your mind.
Right.
And finally, just skipping and jumping right to the point, I got to meet Lionel Hampton at Lincoln Center, New York City. And when I went, and it happened because I went to college first. When I was at Suffolk Community College, and I was in the big band, and they knew that I was a Lionel Hampton fanatic. I had press on the shirts that had Lionel Hampton on it. I used to dream and talk about Lionel Hampton. Everything was Lionel Hampton. The saxophone player in the jazz ensemble, his uncle was the manager of Lionel Hampton.
Oh, small world.
He kept telling me, "Oh, I can get you to see Lionel Hampton." I said, "Get out of here, get out of here." I didn't believe it. He said, "I tell you what, we're gonna put your name backstage, and when he plays in Lincoln Center, you go." He put my name backstage. I went all the way to New York City, and when I seen Lionel Hampton walk down the stairs, it was like stars. And that was the beginning, not knowing that the future of my life, I was going to be living with Lionel Hampton. I moved in with Lionel Hampton April 14th, 1983 at 4:44 and 52 seconds p.m.
That definitely left an impression then.
Yeah. And once I moved in with him, it was the best 3 years of my life. He was a very special kind of individual.
And so what would you say certain things, obviously, then he taught you music, big influence on that, but what other lessons, life lessons, did he teach you being an artist? And basically, how did he prepare you to face certain obstacles along the way?
Wow, nice. Well, one of the things he did was he taught me how to be a package. Mm-hmm. It's great that you gotta have the talent, but if you don't, if your clothes, what's wrong with your clothes? What's wrong with your presentation? Your limitations. You don't have to, when I say limitations, it means you don't have to show, but show different sides. A package is a few things. It's the talent, it's the way you dress, it's how you present yourself to the audience, various things. He definitely taught me that. I mean, actually, he didn't even have to tell me that. Every time I went up into his closet and I seen all these suits.
Yes.
He had suits for different occasions, But he also taught me how to be a man, how to be mature about certain things, how to pull back when you're supposed to pull back, when to move forward. It was like gears on a car, when to put in reverse, when to go into neutral, when to park. It's like a car, And it was just priceless, especially waking up 3 o'clock in the morning, and we were eating cookies and milk, and he would have his piano, and I would play a little bit of vibes, and he would go to his piano, play 2-finger piano, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And we lived in Lincoln. He lived in Lincoln Plaza on the 28th floor. So in the morning time, when you go in the living room, you pull the curtains out, you look right down at Lincoln Center.
Wow. And
I lived with him, and I got to share that view, see that view for 3 years of my life. Woo!
That's definitely magical, and that's something that will stay for you forever.
Yes.
Clearly, it's been a while since that period of time happened, and you still remember it so vividly. So, good memories. So, if we're talking about this now tribute to Lionel Hampton, the drummer for Lionel Hampton, Mr. Jimmy Ford, he actually introduced you or got you in the hookup, right, for this tribute. So explain a little bit about how he came into play with this.
Well, when I was playing with Lionel Hampton, it's really weird because the 3 years I was with Lionel Hampton, I started off as his roadie, setting up his vibes and drums. And then after that, his valet got sick. So they needed me to be the roadie and his valet while his valet was sick, and eventually his valet just stopped being the valet altogether. So that made me have two jobs. A valet for you people means like I'm responsible for, you know, making sure his suits are together and make sure he's dressed before he goes out. You know, I'm just a right hand.
Right hand
you know,
man.
a right hand man. And it was special because I lived with him. I set up his drums, his vibes, make sure his clothes were together, make sure he had everything he needed. And then the third job, that's when I became his protege. I became the 18th piece of his big band. But during that time period, he would have various musicians play with him. And just so happens, he did an audition for a drummer, and one of the youngest drummers that I ever seen him play with his name was Jimmy Ford.
Jimmy Ford.
And he was looking for that Latin beat. He had something, Ham was looking for a band that could play but had this certain Latin beat, and Jimmy had it. And he says, I want you. And it was great because when I was traveling with Ham, I had somebody close to my age to talk about it, to talk with. Because everybody in this band they were so much older than me. Everybody talking about, I remember when, you know. They were like 30, 40, 50 years older than me. Walking around with suspenders on and could barely walk. And I'm not cracking, but you know. And I needed somebody my age. So when I met Jimmy Ford, me and Jimmy kicked it off just like that.
And it's cool to have somebody same age in the same field.
Yes.
Right? And surrounded by so many legends that have been in the industry for way before you two were born.
Exactly.
So you two probably were very close.
Oh yeah, and me and him used to sit back and our eyes were this big. I mean, we had people Lionel had people in his band like Al Gray, famous trombone player, Illinois Jaquette, Clark Terry, trumpet, Duffy Jackson on drums, Sam Turner on congas, Jerry Weldon on sax. These guys, great, I can go down the list. But they taught us what it was like, how to be on the road too.
Yeah, so you had a bunch of people to look out for you too.
Yes.
That's great. So unfortunately, famous trumpet player and the house band trumpeter for Disneyland, Timothy Gill, and his wife passed away in a tragic accident. Yeah. And Jimmy Ford had introduced you to him. Did I get that correct?
That is correct.
So share with us a little bit about Timothy Gill and what kind of impression he left on you.
Timothy Gill was an incredible, multi-talented band leader, trumpeter, composer, dad, you know, a great father. He loved his wife, and he also was employed. He was like the trumpeter at Disneyland. He was the trumpeter at Disneyland. He was employed there playing he was like the house trumpeter in Disneyland. And same with Jimmy Ford. He was the house trumpeter. And when Jimmy said, let's get this band together, man. Let's get things going. He said, I got somebody that's going to handle it, pull it all together, pull the whole big band, pull all the horn players together for you. It was Timothy Gill. And when I got to perform with Timothy Gill, it was priceless. It was just so priceless. Not knowing that was going to be the only time. It was going to be the only time that this special tribute to Lionel Hampton was going to happen with Timothy Gill.
Yeah, so that now thinking about it, it's probably makes the memory even more special, right?
Yeah, him and his wife, they used to like flying the planes. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know much about the planes. The little, the small planes. You know, where you 2-3 people. You know, take their lessons and stuff. And they were flying for about 6-7 years, and they got into a tragic car accident. I mean, tragic plane accident. Accident. And it just totally blew me away.
Yeah. Wow. So to kind of put us on a little lighter note.
Yeah, lighter note, please.
The famous Catalina Jazz Club in Hollywood, Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood, California.
Yeah.
You were able to perform there.
Right.
Am I right? So tell us a little bit about this club, because this is the go-to spot of all the famous actors and musicians and anybody is there. Tell us a little bit about this place.
Well, I didn't know about this place. You know, when I planned on trying to play in Hollywood, it was like I called Jimmy. Jimmy, I'm gonna play in this place in Hollywood. It was the other spot, and he just turned around and said, Jimmy said, "You're Malletman, Jason. You're Malletman. You're Jason Malletman. You don't need to be playing over there. You need to be playing the Catalina." I said, "What's the Catalina?" He said, "Don't worry about it. I'll call Timothy. We'll get the band together. I call my boy. He'll call some boys in San Diego. He'll call some boys up in San Francisco. Come on down. We pull it together. You talk to Mallet Records, see what you can come up with, and we're gonna make some magic happen." I said,
And it happened.
It happened.
It happened.
Woo-wee.
Wow.
That was it was a nice spot. I mean, there was a lot of famous people that have been through there. But my goal was just to do that once. Just to play in Hollywood once. But give it tribute, make it right. Don't go there so much as the Malletman show, but go there and give my mentor some love.
Like next time I'm going to Hollywood, California, I need to go to this jazz club.
Yes.
Because I hear just like, this is the place.
The Catalina.
For any music lover, this is the spot to go to, right?
Yeah, it is. It is, definitely.
Awesome. And speaking of great places,
Yes.
we are sitting here at the famous Broccoli Rob Studios in New Jersey. And this place has some sentimental value for you as well.
Yes. Wow, you just like
Detail.
checking them all.
Oh, yeah.
Woo-wee. For those of you that don't know too much about it, like I say, this is the famous Broccoli Rob recording and rehearsal studios here in Fairfield. It's been here for going back to the middle '80s. It's a humongous phenomenal spot where some of the greats have done recordings here, rehearsals here, mix downs here. I mean, from from Rod Stewart to Sinbad, just to name a few, to Malletman.
That's right. Don't forget.
Don't forget. Don't forget. And we're sitting here in Platinum A. Yeah, this is like Platinum A. This is where they do most of the strings, like orchestra stuff. The strings, the horns, all the, the orchestral instruments, the bassoons. They'll have them all sit up in here and lay down tracks. And I'm honored to be here with you guys.
And we're honored to be here with you. Absolutely, in this amazing just studio. I love the woodwork. I mean, this is incredible. And so I'd like to actually thank Mallet Records Incorporated and Sky Llamas Productions for putting on this interview today. And thank you for joining us.
Yeah. And I also, I have to give a plug to my sponsors, my supporters, I mean, of course, Denise and Sobiewski got it going on. Much love. I love you guys dearly, in a special way.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I got to give love to my supporters, my corporate support, like Yamaha Band and Orchestra Division, with my xylophone, baby. AKG, Mike Bolter Mallets, Forever, Reunion Blues Bags, Dream Cymbals also. And these are the companies that help to keep me going because, without them, there's no me, and without me, there's no them.
That's right. And thank you, everyone, for joining us here tonight to listen to this legend, Malletman. Just give a few words on the late Lionel Hampton and his tribute. So thank you for stopping in.
Yeah.
This song, I want to let you know, I wrote both the lyrics and the words to this song.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How long did it take?
Well, it took twice as long. But I think the result is well worth it, ladies and gentlemen. They said that you should always, as a songwriter, you should dig deep and think about the things that are important, write about the things that you know, the things that touch you deeply. So I wrote a song about bourbon. That's right, yes, sir. This is small batch bourbon. Now you know why. Let's get one thing straight from the start. There's a particular spirit that's close to my heart. You can keep your scotch, your brandy, your gin. No, not particular brand. This is small batch bourbon. This is small batch bourbon. It's small batch bourbon. Bring you the blue tonight. Well, my evening, I'll say, was evolving quite nice. It began with a phone call and a maker of ice. Not a particular dollar. She said, let's all get together, me, your bourbon, you. I lost not a moment, this was no time to dawdle. Dug my hair, tied my tie, and procured a fine bottle. This small batch bourbon, this is small batch bourbon. It's small batch bourbon, making it new tonight. Boy, this chick was a knockout. She had her hands on her hips. She was 85% curves and had 90 proof lips. Now my mama had taught me not to come on. My fit was not Beethoven, the libation was square. Her looks said, come hither. My heart said, okay. I grabbed her, she kissed me, then she went straight away with that small